Well, hello there everyone, and welcome to my channel. It's a special thing that I'm about to say. Uh, Earlier this year, around July, my YouTube channel hit about 1,000 subscribers. Now that's a big deal for me, okay? And just because I really wanted to get to that level. However, if I didn't get to it, I was fine with it as well. But it just so happened I got 1,000 subscribers, and that's a huge deal because when I started up this YouTube, I really didn't think I was gonna do anything on YouTube. When I started up building this van, it was really, uh, I was in a circumstance, I was in a scenario where I needed to build out this van, and so far it went from sort of like a no build to where it is right now. And I've got a few videos on how I went about making some of this stuff in here. I don't have what is classically like the van build video because I really didn't think I was going to end up on YouTube, and I mentioned this in previous videos as well. But anyway, here we are. Here I am, right? So, but when I did start it back in November. Oh, by the way, there's also an old tour of this van. I'm going to be making a new van tour, so some of you want to sort of see the new van tour with my new ceiling intact, so pretty happy about that. But going back to this whole thing, when I started, I had some goals. I had 3 goals specifically for this YouTube. The first one was to be consistent in what I was posting, sort of showing what I was doing. And a big reason for that is because I wanted to show my friends and family what I was up to, and also share that with anybody else who would be interested. So that was one of the goals I remember having, thinking, I want to be consistent in putting out videos. I want to try this YouTube thing, see how it works. And attached to that are 2 and 3, which to me, I didn't think was going to happen. The second one was to get 1,000 subscribers within a year. And there's a video of me actually talking about that from the very beginning. And from the very beginning, I've always said, I'm just going to do what I'm doing. And it so happens I get 1,000 subscribers, fantastic. If I don't, that's fantastic. I'm richer for the experience and so on and so forth. But, really, it's kind of fun to get 1,000 subscribers. But if I didn't, I wasn't going to let it ruin my day or anything. It's just, it's just one of those goals, right? It's sort of like some people climb mountains and spend, money to do that, and train and time. So in my case, this is my little mountain, and I was able to sort of summit the 1,000 subscriber mountain. So that's one. And then the other one just happened, and this would be, I think, after it happened. And it wasn't incredibly important, although it was important because it ties in with the consistency, the first part that I was talking about. And if you look at the playlist, if you look through my videos, I've been able to get over 100 videos now within less than a year. So I was looking at about a year to get 100 videos, but at this point I have 100 videos. Some of them are good, very useful. Other ones are, the van, me chatting about my van, chilling out. I tend to enjoy those ones because those are sort of like off the cuff things, stuff that I started doing. And, I'm thinking this one will probably be the same. Another van chat. Just catching up on that because I know individuals kind of enjoy that. It gives like an insight into what's going on in my little mind with regards to this whole thing, and maybe what I'm going to be doing later on. So it also gives people an idea of what I'm about to build next, or what to anticipate, and that's okay, right? So right now, what's foremost on my mind is planning for winter. Okay, a few things happen during winter, just off the top of my head right now. One of the things that does happen during winter is everything freezes, right? Yeah, actually, it gets cold. So I'll need to change out my tires. I remember changing out my tires last year. So I got to go to the Steelies on that one. And so I've got good winter tires. So that's always helpful. I do have good, well, I must just say right now, I do have a concern. My van right now is over the 240,000 kilometer mark. So this is where it gets really iffy. So the transmission, I know for minivans, especially this one, the Dodge Grand Caravans, it typically things start getting really funky. I've been incredibly fortunate with this van. I've had no issues with it that was of huge concern. I have had issues, but it wasn't something that, stop the show kind of thing, right? I'm regular with tune-ups. I'm regular with the oil changes, all those things that you do to maintain your car. I clean it in the wintertime. I make sure I wash it, take the salt off. But even with all that, there's been a bit of rust sort of like showing up, and that's part and parcel of an old vehicle. This is a 2008 Dodge Grand Caravan, and those things are going to happen. But the number one thing for me is really the transmission. Usually things start to pop after 240,000 kilometers. I think it's about 150 miles. But anyway, you can figure it out. Anyway, it's a lot. So that's something that's of concern to me. The other thing is, so this winter everything's freezing, right? The other thing of concern to me is, if it were to sort of no longer work, the transmission is really, just not working well, what am I going to do? Well, the good thing is, aside from the sealing, which is really the most difficult part of this entire van, I can take everything out and transfer it to another Dodge Grand Caravan. About 95% of my build I can move out of here. The other stuff, maybe not so much. It would take a little more effort, but I could move this entire build in about 2 days to another vehicle. So I'm not particularly worried in terms of how it's actually going to work, but it's really just the time and the hassle and so on and so forth. So hopefully this thing lasts for another, year, which would be incredible. The first year I had this, I didn't have really high hopes. Now we're going into my second year, and it's like, okay, this is working out pretty good. I don't drive very fast with this thing. I'm not a crazy driver. I'm very mellow, okay? And I stay in the right lane, okay? I'm the right lane kind of guy, but if I had to move, I go in the left lane, right? And I stay with the flow of traffic. So I know what it's like to be stuck behind somebody who's just going way too slow for the conditions, or way too slow for traffic. I used to deliver fitness equipment, back in the day, and you have to meet a deadline. So I know what that's like. So I talked to you about the 100 videos. So what's next? What's next for me in terms of this YouTube video? Probably a logo. And I mentioned before, I made attempts to make a logo earlier in the year, and that didn't go that well. I just couldn't get it to turn right. And maybe that's one of the reasons why sometimes people hire a logo designer. And in my case here, there's someone that I have in mind, just a incredibly talented individual. That's how I feel. And it's a different look, and it's a look hopefully that will match the theming and vibe that I want to sort of give off for this particular van build. In other news, one thing I'm also continuing is my sort of like reintegration back to the programming world, and I've been away from it for several years, and I'm still involved with it, okay, but not as much as I used to. I went on a totally different route when it came to the work I do to sort of maintain my an income, a cash flow. I think that's important. You always need a cash flow, right? And it's going to be different from what I'm doing again. So I'm constantly sort of like changing things up, and I think that's just part and parcel of how things are going to go, especially in these times. The reality for me is I've worked on dozens and dozens of different types of jobs, and each one brought about a particular challenge, and each one I learned from. So, and one thing for sure is it increases my gratefulness for the work that people do in various industries. So I've worked retail, I worked the private sector, I've worked government, I've worked in different places, and they all have their pros and cons. But ultimately, I think a lot of it starts with your mind, how you start up with your mind and how you perceive it. Okay, I'm not exactly sure what else I'm going to talk about. Aside from that, no, I can't think of anything. Just a few fixes here and there, Oh, gosh. I was talking about wintertime. Yes, preparing for that. So things do freeze up, and somebody had asked at a forum, well, how do you keep things from freezing up in your van, especially, for example, your water container? Well, you can buy little heaters that take up some amperage from your battery, or what I do is I actually put my water, my anything that's liquid, in a big old thermos, and that's enough for me at this point. You can also put in containers. You can put it in an insulated container, insulated box or something. And that's another thing that I do is I do have an insulated box where I can put something in so it doesn't freeze. So that's one approach so that things don't freeze for you. The other one is you can always run a diesel heater. I have a diesel heater right now. I've run it a few times and it's working great. And I mean, if it lasts as one winter, I'll be very happy. I designed a diesel heater installation so that if I had to take it out, I can take it out very quickly and it wouldn't be a problem. Maybe take me about an hour and a half to swap everything out. It would actually take me longer to move everything out of the way because it's in the floor, in which that's another thing I want to do is make it more accessible. It is accessible, but not as much as it should be in my viewpoint. So a lot of design items that I would definitely change up, but one thing for sure is the silver cabin has brought me a lot of joy, and I'm really happy that I can actually sort of just chill out in here and do what I need to do. Everything from computing to crashing out after a trail run or trail walk, to just having lunch. At work, what I do is I go in here. I go in here and relax and have my lunch, and I'm in my own little space. So I'm happy about that. Okay, I think that's it. If you like the video, please like it. If you think this channel is worthy, please subscribe. I am keeping consistent in terms of my posting, and hopefully some of the things that I sort of say you find useful or even mildly entertaining. I do plan on, for the next set of videos, most likely next year, not this year because winter's coming up and I don't do any builds during winter. I'll start being more diligent in how I'm filming things because I do have a possible build that I might be working on. It's not my van, but it's a build that is very similar. It's another Dodge Ram Caravan, and the goal is to maybe make some components for it. See where that goes. I'm not exactly sure where it's going to go, but something I'm looking forward to. Okay, guys, thanks very much for visiting, and have a great time, have a great life, and remember, you're awesome. And when I say that, I really mean it. There's a lot of things you could do. There's a lot of things we can do. Okay, guys, bye-bye.